press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Well, with reference to question number 91, with ever increasing population of the world, which of the following is a major necessity? World population increase ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಕೆಳಕಂಡ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಮೇಜರ್ ನೆಸೆಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ ಈಗ? ಒಂದು, ಮೇಂಟೈನಿಂಗ್ ಹೈಜೀನ್, ಶುಚಿತ್ವವನ್ನು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಎನ್ಹಾನ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್. Third option, enhancement of food production, development of education system. Out of the four, the enhancement of the food production to meet the demand of ever increasing population right now, it's a very important and major necessity. Enhancement of food production. Out of the four options, the proper major necessity is enhancement of food production. On to question number 92. Which of the following statement is not true? Honey is made by bees digesting the pollen collected from flowers. I think it's a wrong statement. The honey bees will collect the nectar and they return to the hive, pass on the nectar from one bee to other so that the water moisture level will get reduced from 70% to 20%, so that it then becomes honey as such. So thereby it is it's not made by bees by digesting the pollen, but it is made by bees by collecting the nectar and passing on from one bee to the other. So that is the wrong statement. Second one, pollen grains are rich in nutrients and they are used in the form of tablets and syrups. Of course, it's correct. Highly nutritious. Okay, it is used as a food supplement. The flowers are pollinated by flies, bats, secrete foul odor to attract them. Certain plants produce flowers that in turn produce foul, especially odor, to attract especially bats. The pollen grains of some plants cause severe allergies and bronchial affliction in certain people. Okay, even that statement is also true. So out of the four statements, second, third and fourth statements are true, whereas the first statement, honey is made by bees digesting the pollen collected from the flower, is wrong, because honey is made from the nectar collected, not from the pollen. Then moving on to question number 93. Okay, which of the following is a finger-like structure lies at the upper junction of two labia minora above urethral opening? So that comes under female reproductive structure. We have two labia minora, and above that, above the urethral opening, there is a finger-like projection. Clitoris is a structure. Clitoris is a structure which is present at the upper junction of the two labia minora, and it is a finger-like structure. On to question number 94. A child has blood group O. ಒಂದು ಮಗುವಿಗೆ O ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಇದೆ. ತಂದೆಯ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಎ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ತಾಯಿಯ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಬಿ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಉಳಿದ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ possible genotypes ಏನು? So child has a blood group O. If the father has blood group A, the mother has blood group B, the possible genotype of the other offspring. So with reference to this particular question, if the child is O blood group, then it should have two small I genes. So such a scenario, both the parents should be heterozygous. So one with the IA gene, the other one with small I. Another parent should be IB with small I. Both are heterozygous. So that leads to O blood group. Then, in such scenario, one will have IA and small I, that is I blood group. One will have IB and small I, that is B blood group. Other one will have codominant blood group, that is IA and IB. So the genotype of other children will be IA, small I, IB, small I, IA and IB. So the option is okay. The third option. Okay. Now we will be moving over to question number 95. Satellite DNA. So this we will be discussing this concept regarding the Human Genome Project as well as the DNA fingerprinting. Okay. So the repetitive DNA, the DNA particularly which is repeated so many times, okay, so that forms the satellite. Under that, basing on guanine rich, guanine and cytosine rich and adenine thymine rich, okay, so that will be classified, and also basing on the size into mini satellite and especially the macro satellite. So the answer over here will be the repetitive DNA. Okay. Then moving on to question number 96. The Green Revolution succeeded in tripling of food supply. The increased yield has been mainly due to. ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೀವು ಬಯೋಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ತೀರಿ. ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ MS ಸ್ವಾಮಿನಾಥನ್ ವಾಸ್ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್. ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ಆಯ್ತಾ ಬೆಟರ್ ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಆದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು use of agrochemicals and also better management practices. It is mainly due to use of agrochemicals and better management practices. So thereby the answer has to be the first option, the use of agrochemicals and better management practices both. So with reference to question number 96, the option has to be the first option. The fact, theoretically, the population size will grow exponentially if everybody reproduce to maximum capacity. This fact can be seen in the growing bacterial population. And the fact that population sizes in reality are limited means that there has been, ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. 2 ಆನೆಗಳ ಸಂತತಿ 750 ವರ್ಷ ಅವುಗಳು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬದುಕಿ ಅವುಗಳು ತಮ್ಮ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿಗೆ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅವುಗಳ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆನೇ 18 ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಕಡೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಅಷ್ಟು ಯಾಕೆ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ? ವೈ ಈವನ್ ದೋ ದೇ ರೀಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ದಿ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ, ಹೌ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದೆಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ದೆಲ್ ಬಿ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಫಾರ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್. ಎಲ್ಲವುಗಳ ನಡುವೆ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ so many will going to die, only few can survive. So thereby the population size will be maintained, it will never increase enormously. So it is due to competition for resources. It cannot be due to inheritance of acquired characters, and then no natural selection, and no the mutation. So it has to be due to competition for resources. Okay. So then we will be moving over to question number 98. Which of the following cells do not exhibit phagocytic activity? Phagocytosis means it is the capacity to ingest the disease causing microbe that enters into a cell. See, monocytes, macrophages, and neutrophils, all of them are capable of ingesting and also digesting, okay, the microbes, but the basophil doesn't have that capacity. Out of the four, the basophil cells are not involved with phagocytic activity. Okay. Then we are moving over to 99. The pyramid of number in a tree ecosystem. ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೀ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಟ್ರೀ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್. ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ದಿ ಬರ್ಡ್ ನಂಬರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೀಡ್. ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾರಾಸೈಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ then naturally it becomes the inverted pyramid. So inverted pyramids. Okay, base is narrow, the top is broad. So it has to be the inverted pyramid. Okay. It cannot be upright pyramid. Upright pyramid ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಾವು ತಗೋತಾ ಇರೋದು ಟ್ರೀ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ಒಂದು ಮರ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ so it has to be an inverted one. Then we are moving on to the question number 100. Decomposers like fungi and bacteria, you know that we can call them as scavengers. They act upon the dead and decaying matter. Basically, they are not autotrophs. They cannot prepare their own food. Basically, they are heterotrophs. They depend on others for food. Okay. And also, since they act upon the dead and decaying matter, they are also saprophytes, but they cannot be chemoautotrophs. So thereby, in the following, the second and third, it has to be second and third. So thereby, it has to be a third option. Basically, the decomposers are heterotrophs, and also they are saprotrophs. And because they will be depending upon the dead and decaying matter. And then homozygous purulines in cattle can be obtained by purulines. Okay, so it is the mating of related individuals having common ancestor for 2 to 3 generations and of the same breed. Homozygous purulines can be obtained from mating the related individuals of the same breed. Continued ಆಯ್ತಾ, homozygous, especially homozygosity ಆಯ್ತಾ, will result in the depression, ಆಯ್ತಾ, pure breeding depression that can be overcome by a single cross breeding. Okay, so outcross we can call it as, and it is a cross with one especially one of the same the breed, but having no common ancestor for 2 to 6 generation. In such a scenario, it can be overcome by that pure breeding ಡಿಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಓವರ್ಕಮ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಸಾಧ್ಯ, ಔಟ್ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಸಾಧ್ಯ. ಮೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಬ್ರೀಡ್, that is the answer for this particular question, number 101. Now we are on to question number 102. X is the outermost whorl of the flower. X outermost whorl of the flower ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ಲವರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ outermost whorl ಬಂದು calyx. And Y and contains and Y anta ide. Y is green and leaf like and protect other whorls of the flower anta ide. So naturally then they are sepals. The units of calyx are sepals. They are green in color. They are also leaf like. And you know that they show two conditions. If they are free, we call that as polysepalous. If they are at the fuse, they call it as a gamosepalous. And you know that they are meant for protecting the inner parts. When they are green, they can also be photosynthetic. So here, so the answer has to be the fourth option. X is calyx and Y is sepals. On to question number 103. Oral pills prevent fertilization by ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಪಿಲ್ ಓರಲ್ ಪಿಲ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಬೈನ್ಡ್ ಪಿಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಕಂಬೈನ್ಡ್ ಪಿಲ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರೊಜೆಸ್ಟಿರಾನ್ ಹಾಗೂ ಇಸ್ಟ್ರೋಜನ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಇನಿಬಿಟ್ the process of ovulation. Ovulation, as you know that, it is a release of the wood, especially the ovum, from the Graafian follicle, matured Graafian follicle, from the ovary into the fallopian tube for the purpose of fertilization, and by especially suppressing the gonadotropins like FSH and LH. Actually, the function of oral pills prevent fertilization by inhibit the ovulation and by suppressing the gonadotropins like FSH and LH. Okay, so they do not have any role to prevent the entry of sperm. Okay, and to prevent the entry of sperm, the mechanical barriers like Nirodh can be used. They cannot cause the irregularity in menstrual cycle, and they increase the secretion of GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. Okay, so that is wrong over there. So thereby the answer will be they inhibit the ovulation by suppressing the gonadotropins like FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone, and LH. We are on to question number 104. Two heterozygous parents ಅನ್ನ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Question number 104. Two heterozygous parents are crossed. If the two loci linked, what would be the distribution of? ಎರಡು loci link ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ, you know that loci are the specific position where the genes are located, and linked ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ what will be the distribution of phenotypic features of F1 generation for a dihybrid cross? Dihybrid cross ಗೆ phenotypic expression F1 hybrid ಏನಿರ್ತದೆ? ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಲೋಸೈ ಲಿಂಕ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ಡ್ ಜೀನ್ಸ್. ಲಿಂಕ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಪೇರೆಂಟಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ರೀಕಾಂಬಿನೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. If the genes are not linked, they are away from each other, then they are easy to recombine. Okay, recombine. So thereby if they are linked, so there will be high parental and low recombinant phenotype. High parental phenotype irutte, low recombinant phenotypes irutte. So then we are moving on to question number 105. Synthesis of mRNA on DNA template is, ಆಯ್ತಾ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, and it is unidirectional. ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ DNA ಮೇಲೆ RNA ಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಅನ್ನೇ ಬರಿತೀವಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಮೋಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಬರಿತೀವಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದನ್ನ ಟರ್ಮಿನೇಟರ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂತೀವಿ. ಒಂದು ಎಂಡ್ ಅನ್ನ 3 ಪ್ರೈಮರ್, ಅದರ್ ಎಂಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ 5 ಪ್ರೈಮರ್. So the corresponding will be 3 to 5 primary. So this is the promoter and this is the terminator. Always the synthesis will be from 5 primer to 3 primer direction. Always it is unidirectional. Never it will be from 3 primer to 5 primer. So answer has to be synthesis of mRNA on DNA is always unidirectional. And now we are on to question number 106. Read the following statement. A. Made crops more tolerant to biotic stress such as cold, drought, salt and heat. ಇದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟು ಎಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಅಂತ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಕೋಲ್ಡು, ಡ್ರಾಟು, ಸಾಲ್ಟು, ಹೀಟು ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಎಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಅವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಪ್ಪಿದೆ. ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ರಿಲಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಪೆಸ್ಟಿಸೈಡ್, ಇದು GM ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, ಜೆನೆಟಿಕಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್. ಇದು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಇದು ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಬಿ ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಡ್ ಟು ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ದ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲಾಸಸ್. Genetically modified crops are developed to reduce the post-harvest losses. That's correct. D. Increased efficiency of mineral usage by plants. Adu statement sari ide. Enhanced nutritional value of food. Adu sari ide. How many statements are incorrect for application of GM crop anta helidre? First A statement ತಪ್ಪಿದೆ. ಬಿ, ಸಿ, ಡಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಇ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳು ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಫೋರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗೆ 106 ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬಂದು ದಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಚಿತ್ರವನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿದೆ. 4 limbs ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಆಫ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮಲ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಎ ಈಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್, 4 limb of man. B is 4 limb of cheetah. C is a 4 limb of whale, Timingila. D is a 4 limb of bat. So I repeat. So in the diagram they are given A, B, C, D. Out of that A is a 4 limb of man, ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಗಳು. B a 4 limb of cheetah, that is the front legs. And C especially the 4 limb of whale, that is a flipper. And especially D the 4 limb of bat, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪೆಟಜಿಯಂ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಡಿ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್, ಫ್ಲೈಯಿಂಗ್, ಅಡಾಪ್ಟೇಷನ್, ಏರಿಯಲ್. ಇದು ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ನೋಡಿ, ಎ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿದೆ, 4 limb, ಅದು ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ರನ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ದ 4 limb ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನಲ್ಲಿ. ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ಗಳು ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಅಸ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಎನ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಆರ್ಗನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಬೈ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್, ಥ್ರೋಯಿಂಗ್, ಲಿಫ್ಟಿಂಗ್, ಆಲ್ ದೋಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನೆವರ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ರನ್ನಿಂಗ್. ಕೈಗಳನ್ನ ರನ್ನಿಂಗ್ಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ತಪ್ಪು. ಸೊ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಬಿ ವೇಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿದೆ, ತಪ್ಪು. ಅದು ಬಿ ಈಸ್ ಅ 4 limb of cheetah. ಸಿ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ 4 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಚೀತಾ ಅಂತ ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿದೆ, ತಪ್ಪು. ಅದು ವೇಲ್. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸೊ ಡಿ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. ಉಳಿದ ಎ, ಬಿ, ಸಿ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ಗಳು they are wrong over here in the question number 107. So now we are moving on to question number 108. ಇದು match the following ಚಿತ್ರ. ವೈರಲ್ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ಲೆಟ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್. ವೈರಸ್ಗಳು ಡ್ರಾಪ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ನೀಸಿಂಗ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಉಸಿರಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಸ್ವೈನ್ ಫ್ಲೂಗೆ ಕಾರಣ. So viral droplet infection will cause swine flu. Vector borne disease flies ಇಂದ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು ಫಿಲಾರಿಯಾಸಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ವಿಚೇರಿಯಾ ಬಾನ್ಕ್ರಾಫ್ಟಿ ಅಂತೀವಿ, ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಫೀಕಲ್ ರೂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್, ಫಿಕಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಡೆಫಕೇಶನ್ಗೆ ಹೋದವರು ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಕೈ ತೊಳ್ಕೊಬಾರ್ದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಆ ಡೆಫಕೇಶನ್ ಆದಂಥ ಪಾರ್ಟು ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ವೆಜಿಟೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ವಾಶ್ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಟೈಫಾಯ್ಡ್. ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ಲೆಟ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್, ಸ್ನೀಸಿಂಗ್, ಇವುಗಳ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಬಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ನ್ಯೂಮೋನಿಯಾ. ಸೊ 1 is B, 1 is B, 2 is A, 3 is D. 1 is B, 2 is A, 3 is D, and the fourth is C. So it is the second option. Second option. And now we are on to question number 109. Which of the following types of soil possess the particle size less than 0.002 millimeter? Now fine sand ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯ್ತಾ, clay soil will be having particles. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ the water holding capacity of the clay soil will be very high. ಆಯ್ತಾ, ನೀರನ್ನು ಬಹಳ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆಯ್ತಾ, it will not allow the water to percolate. It will not, the clay soil will not allow the water to percolate because of ಆಯ್ತಾ, especially very small size. So then coming on to the question number 110. Pyramid of energy is always upright. ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಪಿರಮಿಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಇನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಗೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, always upright, because energy follows 10% law. Only 10% of the energy from one tropic level will be passed on to another tropic level. So taking that into an account, when the energy is especially is transferred from lower to higher tropic level, gradually it goes on decreasing only. So thereby the base is always broad and the tip is always narrow. So thereby, in case of pyramid of energy is always upright, never it can be inverted. So, okay, so then we will be, that is 110th question, always upright. Onto 111, question number 111. Which of the, one of the correct option regarding apocarpus gynoecium? Say there will be many carpels over here. The carpels are free. If the carpels are united, the condition is called syncarpus. So here the carpel, they especially that represent the gynoecium, each carpel will have an ovary, style and stigma. They will be separate. That is seen in case of rose plant, and then lotus plant, and Michelia, that is Michelia champaka. In case of rose and lotus and Michelia, the carpels are especially free, that is apocarpus. Whereas the papaver hibiscus, in these cases, they are syncarpus. So in all the other options, papaver somniferum, ಗಸಗಸೆ ಗಿಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದು ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿನ್ಕಾರ್ಪಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ದಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ರೆಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಟು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 111. All the remaining 3 are incorrect. Well, we will move over to question number 112. Which of the following 4 floral parts forms the pericarp after fertilization? ಪೆರಿಕಾರ್ಪನ್ನ ನಾವು ಫ್ರೂಟ್ ವಾಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಂಕ್ಟ್ ಲೇಯರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ: ಎಪಿಕಾರ್ಪು, ಮೀಸೋಕಾರ್ಪು, ಎಂಡೋಕಾರ್ಪು. ಡ್ರೂಪ್ ಫ್ರೂಟ್ ಆದಂಥ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಎಪಿಕಾರ್ಪ್ ಲೆದರಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಮೀಸೋಕಾರ್ಪ್ ಫ್ಲೆಶಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಇನ್ನರ್ ಎಂಡೋಕಾರ್ಪು ಸ್ಟೋನಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ. And you know that especially, say you know that the fruit is formed from the ovary. So thereby the fruit wall is formed from ovary wall. Ovary wall. ಆಯ್ತಾ? So outer integument, nucellus, inner integument. Outer integument and inner integument, they help in the development of ಆಯ್ತಾ seed coat. Seed coat. We are on to question number 113. It's a math the following. Placenta. Placenta. Human chorionic placenta produce an hormone, especially called human chorionic gonadotropin or SCG. SCG. Zona pellucida is a layer around the ovum. ಎಗ್ಗಿನ ಸುತ್ತ ಹ್ಯೂಮನಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಝೋನಾ ಪೆಲಿಸುಡಾ ಅನ್ನೋ ಲೇಯರ್ ಇದೆ. ಬಲ್ಬೋ ಯುಥರಲ್ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್, ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನ ಕೌಪರ್ಸ್ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. A pair of glands. You know that they produce a secretion which helps in the lubrication of penis during the process of copulation. Fourth option D, Leydig cells ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಅವುಗಳನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಇಂಟರ್ಸ್ಟಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರೆಯೋದು. ಅವು ಮೇಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ಸ್ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ಸ್ ಆದಂತಹ ಆಂಡ್ರೋಜನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ. ಆಂಡ್ರೋಜನ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಟೆಸ್ಟೋಸ್ಟಿರೋನ್. So A is 2. A is 2. B is 3. C is 4. And D is 1. So thereby the option 1 is correct. And now we are on to question number 114. Who proposed the chromosomal theory of inheritance? ಯಾರು chromosomal theory of inheritance ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು? You know that it is by Sutton and Bovary. ಆಯ್ತಾ? So Sutton and Bovary, they propose this. You know that the Puneet checkerboard ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. Morgan, he worked with Drosophila melanogaster linkage. Mendel worked with pea plants. He went on to discover the Mendelism or Mendel laws of inheritance. So thereby the chromosomal theory of inheritance was proposed by Sutton and Walter Sutton and Theodore Bovary. Then we are moving on to question number 115. Which of the following genes is not transcribed from the promoter for beta galactosidase? ಯಾವುದು transcribe? You know that LAC-I gene. LAC-Z gene will transcribe beta galactosidase. LAC-Y beta galactose permease. LAC-A will be beta galactose transacetylase. Here the LAC-I gene is not involved with this. LAC-Z, LAC-Y, LAC-A geneಗಳು, they are associated with particularly synthesis of beta galactosidase and also its functioning. They are involved. Other two especially are also involved with the beta galactosidase to break down the lactose into glucose and galactose in case of E. coli bacteria. So with reference to 115, we are now moving over to 116. A single stranded DNA or RNA tagged with radioactive molecule, you know that we call it as a probe. ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಇದನ್ನ DNA ಫಿಂಗರ್ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯ್ತಾ, ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ the DNA probe we will especially use it to hybridize the strands that are present in the nylon sheet. Okay, hybridized ಆಗಿರೋದು ಆಗಿದ್ದು auto radiographically dark mood ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Unhybridized will not appear. That in turn gave the definite pattern for that fingerprint. So thereby the answer to this question will be the probe. A pliffer of penguin, a bird, and a dolphin. Pliffer, you know that it's a mammal. Iveradರಲ್ಲಿ anatomically the fliffers are, the penguin and dolphin are analogous organs or analogous structure, because anatomically they are different, but they are using for the same purpose, that is swimming in both the cases. And such evolution, we call that as convergent evolution. So they are the ones that helpful for the convergent evolution. So the pliffer of penguin and dolphin show analogous structure, that is A, and the D convergent evolution. So thereby it is the third option, A and D. A and D. Now we are on to question number 118. Which of the following drug is not considered as stimulant? Stimulate. ಉತ್ತೇಜನಕಾರಿ, ಉದ್ರೇಕಕಾರಿ, ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. Amphetamines, caffeine, and cocaine, all are stimulants. Okay. So ಇವು ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ನರ್ವಸ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸ್ಟಿಮ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Okay. Whereas heroin is a depressant. Okay. So thereby, so with reference to this, the amphetamines, caffeine, cocaine, so which are stimulant, heroin is not a stimulant, it's a depressant. It causes the depression. And study of the following statement answer the question. Mango trees cannot grow in temperate countries like Canada and Germany. ಕೆನಡಾ ಹಾಗೂ ಜರ್ಮನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಬೆಳೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅವಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕಲ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು. ಟ್ಯೂನಾ ಫಿಶ್ ರೇರ್ಲಿ ಕಾಟ್ ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್, ಇದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಹೈ ಇರೋದು ಬೇಕು. ಸ್ನೋ ಲೆಪರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫೌಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇರಳ. ಕೇರಳ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಟು ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕಲ್ ರೀಜನ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ನೋ ಲೆಪರ್ಡ್ ಬರೋಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ನೋ ಬೀಳಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ the temperature in Kerala will be high. So ಇವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. Mango trees cannot grow in temperate countries like Canada and Germany. Tuna fish can rarely caught behind tropical latitude in the ocean. Snow leopards are not found in Kerala. All are related to the temperature. And now we are moving on to question number 120. Which of the following biotic factor is responsible for mineral cycling? Mineral cycling ಗೆ ಯಾವ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಬೇಕು, ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಬೇಕು? ಎಬಯಾಟಿಕ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಅಂದಿರ್ಬೋದಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಆದರೆ ಬಯಾಟಿಕ್ ಅಂದಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ you know that the decomposers have the role to play. Okay. And you know that they act upon the bodies of both the autotrophs and heterotrophs and convert whatever the organic matter that is present in their body into simple inorganic substances, and which is added to soil to make the soil fertile. Taking that into consideration, which of the following biotic factor is responsible for mineral cycling anta helidre, that is decomposers. We are on to question number 121. Match the following. Zoophilia anta ide. It is pollination by animals. A 4. And then ornithophyllae. Ornithophyllae. It is pollination by birds. B1. Entomophyllae. Pollination by insect. That is C2. D. Chiropterophyllae. Pollination by bats. Bauligalu. So D3. D3. C. C2. B1 and A4. So that is the second option is correct. A4, B1, C2 and D3. Now we are on to question number 122. Even this is also math the following. Parthenocarpy anta ide. It's nothing but production of fruit without fertilization. So such fruits will not be having seeds now. So thereby answer A4, seedless fruits. Polyembryony, occurrence of more than one embryo, occurrence of more than one embryo in a seed. Particularly if you take a citrus seeds, they show the polyembryony. That is the cells, diploid cells surrounding the embryo sac. They enter into embryo sac where they form extra embryos. Then the third one, C, apomixis. It is the process of formation of seeds without fertilization. So here the meiosis followed by union of gamete will not be there. Apomixis. Okay. So last D, dormancy, it is the inactive state of seeds and birds. Okay. And A is 4. And then B is 3. A is 4, B is 3, and C is 2. C is 2, D is 1. So option is A4, B3, and C2, D1. That is third option. On to question number 1, 2, 3. Which component helps in the movement of sperm from vagina to fallopian tube through the uterus? Once the sperms are released, especially into vagina, the sperms especially move through the cervix and enter the fluid, especially uterine fluid. There, the prostaglandins that helps in the movement of sperms from vagina to fallopian tube. During this movement, they undergo a process called as capacitation. So they become especially capable of fertilizing. They get that fertilizing capacity through the process of capacitation. So here the answer is prostaglandins help in the movement of sperm in the uterine fluid from vagina to the fallopian tube. In a diploid cell contain 6 chromosomes. How many possible random arrangement of homologous chromosome could occur during metaphase 1? Metaphase 1 ನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಆಯ್ತಾ ರ್ಯಾಂಡಮ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳು ಆಗಬಹುದು. ಈಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೋಮೋಲಗಸ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಪೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಎರಡು ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್. ಮಿಯಾಸಿಸ್ ಮೆಟಾಫೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಬಹುದು? ಆಲ್ ದ 3 towards one pole may become paternal chromosome. All the three may become maternal chromosome. ಇದು ಒಂದು ಪೋಲ್ ಒಂದು ಪೋಲು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪೋಲ್ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಆಲ್ ದ ತ್ರೀ. ಎರಡನೇ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಏನಾಗ್ಬೋದು, ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನಲ್ ಎರಡು ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸೇಮ್ ಕೇಸ್. ಮೂರನೇ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಏನಾಗ್ಬೋದು, ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಎರಡು ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನಲ್ ಒಂದು ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಬೈ MMP. ಅಥವಾ ಮೂರನೇದು ಏನಾಗಬಹುದು, ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಪೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಪೆಟರ್ನಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಬೈ ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಪೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್. ಇದು ನಾಲ್ಕು ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಒಂದು ತರ. ಇದನ್ನ ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದು ಪೋಲ್ ಈ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಮೆಟರ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತು, ಕೆಳಗಡೆಗೆ ಪೆಟರ್ನಲ್ ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಇದು ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಇದೇ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಗಿವ್ಸ್ another 4 conditions. Totally it becomes 8. So thereby answer to this question will be the 8. That is 124th question. We are on to the question number 125. Failure of cytokinesis after telophase stage of cell division results in the increase in whole set of chromosome. ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸೆಲ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೈಟೋಪ್ಲಾಸಮ್ ಡಿವಿಷನ್ ಮುಕ್ತಾಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಸಾರಿ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೋಕೈನಸಿಸ್ ಮುಕ್ತ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸೈಟೋಕೈನಸಿಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಆಯ್ತಾ ಓಲ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತದೆ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಬ್ಲಿಂಗ್. ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ಸೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಇಟ್ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಎ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ as ಪಾಲಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡಿ. ಎನ್ಯೂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಆಲ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ನಂಬರ್, ಅಡಿಷನ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಲೀಷನ್. ಟ್ರೈಸೋಮಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಟ್ರೈಸೋಮಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್, ಒಂದು ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ನಲಿಸೋಮಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಎನ್ಯೂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡಿ ಆಲ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಐದರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಒನ್ ಆರ್ ಟು ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, 1 or 2 ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಟ್ರೈಸೋಮಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಒಂದು ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ, 2 ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೆಟ್ರೋಸೋಮಿ ಅಂತ. ನಲಿಸೋಮಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ 2 ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮಾನೋಸೋಮಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಬೈ ನಲಿಸೋಮಿ ಇಸ್ ರಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್, trisomy is addition of chromosome, aneuploidy is alteration in chromosome number, where polyploidy is having extra set of chromosome. We are on to question number 126. Whiskey, brandy, wine, rum, beer, how many beverages are produced through distillation anta ಇದೆ. ವಿಸ್ಕಿ, ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡಿ, ರಮ್ ಅನ್ನ they are produced through distillation of a fermented broth, whereas wine and beer are undistilled, they are prepared without distillation. So it is 3 ಯಾವುದು produced by distillation, 3 out of the 5: whiskey, brandy and rum. Now we are on to question number 127. Following are the 2 statements regarding the origin of life. A option: the earliest organisms that appeared on earth were non-green, presumably anaerobes. Anaerobes ಇದ್ದಿರಬಹುದು, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು the earth condition was the reducing type without all oxygen. The first autotrophic organism were chemoautotropes that never released oxygen. Even that statement is also correct. ಎರಡು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳು ಸರಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಬೈ ಬೋತ್ statement A and B are correct. So that is the third option. We are on to question number 1 to 8. 1 to 8. Which of the following part of immunity works only against viruses? ವೈರಸ್ಗಳ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, ಇಂಟರ್ಫೆರಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. ಇಂಟರ್ಫೆರಾನ್ಸ್. ಗ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸೆಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಅಂತ. ಮೈಕ್ರೋಬ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಬಂದಾಗ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಇನ್ಫ್ಲಮೇಷನ್ ಕಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Now we are on to question number 1 to 9. Match the following ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ಗ್ರಾಮು, ಸೆಮ್ಮು, ಮೂಂಗು, ಸೋಯಾಬೀನ್ ಇವುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು? ಪಲ್ಸಸ್. A is 7 pulses. ಸೋಯಾಬೀನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ನಟ್ ಇವುಗಳಿಂದ ಎಡಿಬಲ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಡಿಗೋ ಫೆರಾ ಇಂದ ಯು ನೋ ದ ಡೈ ಬ್ಲೂ ಡೈ. ಸನ್ ಹೆಂಪ್ ಇಂದ ಫೈಬರ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೆಸ್ಬೇನಿಯಾ ಟ್ರೈಫೋಲಿಯಂ ಇಂದ ಫಾಡರ್ ಮೇವು. ಲುಪಿನ್, ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ಪೊಟೆಟೊ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಆರ್ನಮೆಂಟಲ್. And mulethi especially is a medicinal one. A is 7. A is 7. B is 6. C is 5. D is 4. E is 3. F is 2. G is 1. That is the fourth option is correct. This is with reference to question number 1 to 9. Now we are on to question number 130. Insectivorous plants. Nepenthes, Urticularia, ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಈ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಡ್ರೋಸೆರಾ ಇವುಗಳನ್ನ. You know that they have a green leaves. Since they have a green leaf, we can consider them as the producers. They are photosynthetic. And partially they will be depending on insect for the purpose of the nitrogen. In such a scenario, they can also be partially consumers. So you can consider the third option, that is producers and consumers both. And now we are on to question number 131. Which of the following option is correct anta ide? Okay, which of the following option is correct anta ide? In about 60% of angiosperms, pollination occurs when pollen grains are at least form vegetative cell and generative cell. ಜನರೇಟಿವ್ ಸೆಲ್ಲು, ವೆಜಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಎರಡೂ ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ 2 celled ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ 60% ಆಫ್ ಏಂಜಿಯೋಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದ ಪೋಲನ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಇನ್ ದ 40% it has to be released in 3 celled stage. That is, generative cell should undergo a division to form 2 male gamete. But ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟವ್ರೆ, 40% angiosperm pollination occur at 2 celled stage ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ರಾಂಗ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 60% ಆಫ್ angiosperm pollination occur in 3 celled stage ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ದಟ್ಸ್ ರಾಂಗ್. Generative cell divide and meiotically to form 2 male gametes anta ide. It has generative cell which has to undergo aita divide, especially mitotically aita to form the 2 male gamete, because it is a special the haploid one. So thereby second, third and fourth options are wrong. So in the question number 131. Now we are moving on to question number 133. The cleistogamous flowers are invariably autogamous. Cleistogamous flower that never open. Since the flowers cannot open, you cannot expect the heterogamy. It has to follow. So plant use abiotic, two abiotic, that is wind and water, and one biotic, that is animal agent to achieve pollination. That's correct. Wind pollination is quite common in grasses, that is anemophily is quite common in grasses. Sorry. Water pollination, pollination by water, that is hydrophily, is quite rare. Okay, that's also correct statement. How many above statement are correct anta ide 4. That is the second option. Now we are on to question number 133. Select the incorrect statement from the following anta ide. LH and FSH, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, decrease gradually during follicular phase anta ide. Follicular phase will start from the 6th day to the 13th day, especially, during which gradually it increases. Gradually it is increases. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಈ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಪ್ಪಿದೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಪ್ಪಿದೆ. LH triggers secretion of androgens from Leydig cells ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. FSH stimulates Sertoli cells HN spermiogenesis ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. Triggers ovulation in ovary, LH triggers ovulation in ovary, adu sari ide. So second, third and fourth options are correct, whereas the first option is wrong. On to 134th question. Which of the following characteristics represent the inheritance of blood group in humans anta ide. ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು ಇದನ್ನ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಅಲಿಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಮಿನೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. IA gene is dominant over small I gene. IB gene is dominant over small I. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಮಿನೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋಡಾಮಿನೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. IA gene and IB gene both are codominant. So multiple alleles ಇದೆ, codominance ಇದೆ and dominance ಇದೆ. But incomplete dominance ಇಲ್ಲ, polygenic inheritance ಇಲ್ಲ. So thereby A, B and C, that is the first option, is correct. And now we are on to question number 135. 135. Which of the following sequence is most likely to be a restriction enzyme recognition site? Out of this, GAATTC, which is a restriction site for the restriction enzyme at the EcoR1. So thereby that's the answer for this. So this completes our discussion.